Here's the secret to a great sounding podcast. It's called double ender recording. Watch the video to learn what it is and how you can start using it. A double ender is essentially when both the host and the guest on the podcast records locally onto their own devices. Then the files are synced up in post-production. This works if both the host and the guest has a microphone and a camera if you're doing a video podcast, and you both have the software to capture that recording. The benefits of a double ender recording is the level of quality you can get, which is far superior to the quality you'll get when recording with a cool software such as Zoom or Skype. Using a conferencing platform for your recording leaves you with a compressed, unpleasant recording that isn't very enjoyable for your audience to listen to. You can see our full video on why you shouldn't use software like this by clicking on the video in the top right corner. It was almost accepted that this level of quality was okay for recording remote podcasts, until people discover platforms such as Riverside.fm. Riverside.fm allows you to record local audio and video remotely, but we'll talk about that a little later on in the video. One of the best examples of a high quality double ender recording is from the Stallman podcast. Tyler Stallman is a tech and camera YouTuber with a focus on quality, so he naturally went to great lengths to ensure that every podcast was recorded with the highest possible quality. You can see how good the footage looks here.
Renee, you have started a whole new YouTube channel since last you were on here. How has that been?
That's been terrifying and exciting. Terrifying because I quit my day job at a big media company, one of the biggest media companies in the world, to do it, but exciting because I get to do my own thing now.
Now I've explained a little about how double ender recordings work and what use cases you might have. Let me tell you a little bit more about two ways you can record this way. The first is your traditional fully local recording. Then the second is how you can use Riverside.fm for your remote double ender recording. This is what you refer to as double ending in the traditional sense. It's when person A, say the host, sets up their own recording equipment and then presses record. Person B, say your guest, will then do the same thing and press record too. At this point, you'll both probably be on a Zoom, Skype or FaceTime call to have your actual conversation. Once the conversation is over, person A and person B will stop recording on their various devices. Now the recording has been completed, each party has to take their recorded files and upload them to the server for the editor to get the files, download and start editing. Or, if the host edits, just one person will then have to upload their files. The benefit of this method is getting the full quality source files on separate tracks so you can edit together a beautiful looking recording. However, this is where the benefits of the first traditional method stop. Unfortunately, there are quite a few things that can go wrong using this method. So if you're inexperienced or you're recording with guests often, you can quite often run into a few problems. The first problem is the file sizes. If you're recording a 4K video podcast, then it will take some time for those files to be uploaded through whichever file transfer service you use. It will also take up a lot of storage space, which can get expensive, as I know. The files would generally be unsynced even if you were on the call beforehand to press record at the same time. If you're recording into a separate camera and audio device like I do for these videos, it's going to be slightly out of time anyway. Unlike with recording on your own, clapping to sync the remote podcast might not work perfectly. This is due to a delay in the remote feed between you and your guest, so it might be slightly unaligned. Again, this might not be a huge problem, but one to be aware of. The final drawback is the sheer amount of things that can go wrong. People might not have the right gear, the various bits of equipment that could fail without the producer knowing, having to teach people how to set up if they haven't used the gear before, and even people forgetting to press record. I've had this happen to me in the past. So although traditional double ender recording can look and sound fantastic, I'm going to talk you through another option which pretty much eliminates those drawbacks. That is, of course, using Riverside.fm. Riverside automatically gives you a double ender recording with a click of a button. Riverside works by recording your local audio and video source in up to 4K resolution and uploads that file progressively throughout your recording so that when you finish, your files are there ready for you to download and edit. So not only do you get the high quality local recording that I mentioned in the previous section of this video, but you do that while alleviating all of those problems that come with recording a traditional double ender. First, the file size is no longer an issue, as Riverside progressively uploads throughout your recording. You don't have to do this after recording, and the file sizes are much more manageable. Then your file's ready to download for your editor, and because download speeds are usually much higher than upload speeds, shouldn't take much time at all. Next, the files are completely synced. Because the person pressing record is starting the recording for both the host and the guest, or up to 8 people, the start time is the same for everyone. This means there's no need to do the syncing up in post-production. Finally, Riverside.fm has been built with podcast hosts and producers in mind, so there are features built into the software to ensure that things don't go wrong. For instance, you can monitor everyone's sources on the call to make sure they're using the correct microphone, and also make sure the levels are perfect throughout the recording, and you can adjust that with the sliders. Before you start, you can check everything is set up right, and you'll have no worries throughout that recording. If anything fails, you'll be aware of it immediately. So that's all there is to know about double ender recording, the way to get the highest possible quality for your video and audio podcast recording. Traditionally, people will record locally on their computer or their camera or their microphone, upload those files and sync them in post-production. Now, with software such as Riverside.fm, we can record completely locally with none of the drawbacks and much more control. We love hearing from everyone who watches these videos, and we want to hear a little bit more about your double ender experiences. Have you ever tried this? How has it gone for you? And how's it been switching to Riverside.fm and giving the new way of double ender recording a go? We're going to be producing a bunch more videos on this YouTube channel about podcasting, video interviews, and more. So if you want to learn more about starting and growing a podcast, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss an episode. Thanks for watching.